Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's session of GeoAI Bytes. My name is Dan. I'm going to be your host for today. And today we're going to talk about how to cut out any object, whatever it's at all you can see from anywhere on the planet's surface within satellite imagery with a single click. So we're going to be talking about the very important process of annotation during the building of a model to detect objects on the planet's surface. So because we're going to be talking about annotation, what I wanted to start with during today's session was a few best practices. And then we're going to come on to how to do all of this within a single click. So when you're building a custom model, when you're wanting to build a detector to detect your object of interest from satellite, from drone, or other aerial imagery, there are a few things you should be doing when annotating to ensure that you're going to build an accurate model. Now, we're going to use a few examples here to show you what some of these best practices should be. We're using the example of sheep in these screenshots. So you can see that we're actually trying to train the model to detect sheep over a large area. And you can see that little green dotted box is our training area. And the little green blobs you see in the picture here are the sheep that we have annotated within those training areas. So first tip, whenever you're building your detection, whenever you're annotating objects, is that individual objects should not be wrapped within the training areas. So you can see in this example on the left-hand side, we have those individual training areas that are kind of wrapped around each individual sheep. This is something that you shouldn't be doing. Why? Well, background is critically important when determining what and what isn't your object, in this case, the sheep. So you need to make sure that your training area has that background in there as well, alongside your object of interest. Another best practice, make sure that you contain enough fully contained instances of your object. So again, we can see two training areas on the left-hand side, one with one sheep inside, and then another kind of small training area that has these four sheep, but they're kind of inside half the training area and then the half outside as well. So make sure that within your training area, you have a fully contained instance within there as well. So you can see on the right-hand side, we have that sheep that's actually inside the area. Also really important, and I talked about this during my session a couple of weeks back when I showed you how to build a detector from scratch, make sure that you're outlining all of the objects inside your training area. Now, if you're not outlining objects, if you think, well, it's on the kind of border, so maybe I won't outline it, don't do that action. Not outlining everything confuses the AI model, and you're telling it that some of those sheep that are in there aren't sheep. So do make sure you're doing every single one. Now, if you're doing a counting model, so you wanted to know the number of your object across a certain area or space, then ensure that the outlines that you're drawing are not overlapping each other. So you can see on that left-hand image, we have a number of sheep that are very close together, and you might be tempted to outline the entirety of each sheep so that you can see these areas start to overlap, the annotations. Don't do this if you're in counting mode. You can see on the right-hand side that actually it's better to leave a little bit of space or kind of under annotate the object of interest to ensure that you're not overlapping. Now, this isn't a problem for segmentation use cases, as we'll see in a second. So if you are just doing segmentation for more kind of area-based detection work, then it isn't an issue. And the final tip we'll give you about kind of annotation in general before we look at the magic wand feature that we have is don't use too many of these redundant areas. Now, the goal here is, quality, not quantity. So don't start putting training areas everywhere around your image and annotating and filling them and emptying them. Don't use too many. Concentrate on quality annotations rather than the overall quality. So that's a few best practices that we've looked at, but we're going to jump into the main part of today's Byte session, which is how do we speed up this annotation process, especially when we have complex objects. Obviously you can use our great drawing tools within the Pictera platform to be able to annotate those objects. But what if you're going to do a lot of annotations? You have a team of annotators. It's going to take a long time. You need to make sure that the annotations are consistent between different team members. So how do we speed up this process? So at this point, I'd like to bring in Frank, who's going to take us through the feature set within platform that works with Meta AI's Segment Anything model. So, Frank, welcome.
Hi Dan, thanks for passing me the mouse. Yeah, I mean, very glad to today to show you a bit this magic wand. So that's the way we brought this foundational model from Meta, and as said Dan, I mean, the fuel of everything we are doing is this digitalization. So the annotation that we'll give to a model, and we need this really at the entry. That's the main input for a model, and then of course the moment you are getting results and you need also potentially to clean these up, that's the moment where you will probably need again a bit of magic wand to be efficient. So at the beginning, at the end, this comes back many times. So I'll show you a bit on the platform. I'm a bit on a weak Wi-Fi today, so I hope everything will go fine, but we should. So ignore the message there. Here's the first image. Where you will see a little bit the different ways we can use the magic wand. And we were saying you need a single click. So at first, what I'll do is to launch the magic wand. So here in my bar, you see this magic wand icon, and so I activate that mode. And once I'm in this mode, I can start to, in a single click, to outline an object. So if I start just here with this very rectangular building, I give a click and I get the outline there. From there, I can simply press enter and I get my outline. But of course, this is a very simple type of object. That's probably not where you make the best use of magic wand. Um, Look at these tennis fields here. For instance, what you could do is to click on one. You see is getting the inner part, really the field itself. What I can do is to start to introduce a bit more information by giving a second click. So if I add a second click nearby, you'll see it start to get to the next one. And if you add more and more, you will understand that you're interested in the surrounding object. And so in this case here, at that moment, I actually get the larger part of the field with the green part. So you can play it that way, to guide more the magic wand into what you want, what you don't want. Here in the swimming pool, it's getting it straight away, uh, like that. Let's imagine here you want to have also this soccer field. So if I click on it, it's getting the full inner part. You may want actually to have this outer circle where the running piece. So you can click on it, and then you can use right click to eliminate the inner part, to really say, look, that's not what I want. So you can guide the magic wand that way, with left clicks on what you want and right clicks on what you don't want. And that way you're really starting to digitize. So if you exit the mode, then I'm back to the regular mode, where I can actually edit polygons. So I have all the flexibility to edit what I've just done, to rotate, modify them, duplicate them, etc. So there's all the flexibility that is back then in this setup. But the best, I mean, kind of usage for the magic wand is really to be on kind of complex objects. So here it's just a small example where there is two water bodies. These are very tricky to annotate by hand. So if I would start here to do the outline, it will really take me a lot of time placing a lot of points. So even though here it's just two elements, with the magic wand, that's the moment you can really speed things up. So in this case, that's an image where there was no annotation. Here we'll just add a layer and then launch the magic wand in order to annotate these two. Here, one click, and I already get the second one, but I'm really interested in having the first one correct. So I press enter to preserve this one, and then I'll do the second one by giving a click and then pressing enter. So I get the two that way. So really, you see, if I would have had to done that really by hand, it would take me a lot of time. Why there's really no need, since it's really an object that can be nicely identified. So if I go now into another another image to show you something interesting in terms of zoom levels. So the way you can also really play and adapt yourself with the magic wand is to use the different zoom levels. So in this case, let's imagine actually that you're interested in outlining certain areas, some agricultural areas. So you will see that at that kind of zoom level, if I click here, I will get a certain portion of a certain grouping of fields, and I could add them further, add certain number of points to get this large zone, that zone that I would be interested between the roads. So I could get it that way. But you may be interested actually into the individual fields, and that way finding the right zoom level can really help you and help the magic wand and to guide it. So at that kind of zoom level, you have the different paths and roads in between that will allow the magic wand to be guided. So here I add the right click and I get something very neat in terms of the different fields. And I can get then the second one. But you may want actually to go also into much more details and really zoom in your image to have all the really the details. And so what you can imagine here, if you would like to really annotate the cover canopy of this field, you would really exploit a very high zoom level in order to get the magic wand to perform well. So in this case, you will see here that I will start to get pieces of the rows and to be very efficient in annotating those. So really think through this, depending on what level of detail you want, of what really is your entity or object, you will play with the zoom level in order to get to this point. And finally, what I would like to show you is a little bit in this view. So that's where you will have your results when you run a detector. Let's imagine here that you would have an output from a detector marking water. You see I have some other detection here and here in this corner. You have now in this view ways to edit those in an efficient way. So for instance, what you can do is to right click on one of these polygon. And what you can do is, for instance, of course, start to edit it. You can also actually attribute it to a different class. You have this change vector layer where I can actually move it to this other default class. What you can also do is to select some of these polygons using Shift and then clicking use your mouse. And once you have these selected, you can delete them by just pressing your button delete. So we've made it efficient so that you can clean up results and do back and forth between deleting things that you would be wrong and quickly adding high quality polygons with the magic wand. So you have now a combination that really helps you to do quality control on your results. So that's all what I wanted to show you today, and we'll see in some other times more details, for instance, into detectors insights, and there's much more to come. So happy that this gives you an insight on the magic wand, and yeah, we're really looking forward hearing your feedback on this tool.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. So as a reminder to everyone that's watching live today, you can pop some questions into the various platforms that you're attending for myself and Frank to be able to answer live. And if you're watching on demand, just please pop also a question into the threads of this event, and we'll get round to answering them as well. So we've got a couple of questions that have come through, Frank, and it's kind of relating to something that I was talking about earlier around the kind of count versus segmentation. And I think you've already mentioned this as well in some of the use cases. But are there specific use cases where Magic Wand makes more sense as opposed to manual annotation, let's say, as opposed to counting objects or segmenting a land area? And are there other use cases where it just makes more sense to use the Magic Wand?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the use of the magic wand will very often come in a segmentation case where you will have large and with complex edges, if I can say complex boundaries objects, and where often you may need a portion of it very well cut through to give as an example to your model. While when it's about objects, you have usually something more confined, more small, where there's usually less number of points to be done. So we really see this big advantage when you're doing segmentation and you have these complex boundaries between the classes.
Okay, great. Another question that's just come through now. Someone's asking if this is available on the platform today.
Yes, definitely. So the Magic Wand is available on the platform since quite some time. I mean, we're really releasing this right after Meta pushed out their model, so this last spring. And it's more recently that we brought the Magic Wand in different corner of the platform. So you have it inside the detector when you create a model, and you also have it inside the quality control view where you're editing results and doing this quality control flow.
Okay, fantastic. Someone's also asking, I'm not sure if we can answer this one, but someone's asking if there are future plans to bring in any similar models onto the platform.
So we are not stopping to investigate those, and we are actually looking about different things. So for instance, ways to navigate into your data using text prompt, for instance. So definitely the goal for us is, once there is models out, to look what they could help into the user journey, the user flow in the platform. So some models might be great, but if you cannot control them and really have this human in the loop approach, then usually they're not worth. So we really try to see where the best fit, and yeah, we'll probably have some great things about this soon. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Frank. Well, that's the questions we have so far for the live stream. But as mentioned, if you do have any follow-up questions, we'll be happy to answer them via the event pages. So for now, I'm going to pop a little QR code on the screen, so you can see that there in the top corner. So if you do want to find out more about the Magic Wand and about how it works within the Pictera platform, do take a quick snapshot of that QR code if you're not already on a mobile platform, that is, and you can find out more about it. So thank you, Frank, for walking us through that.
Thanks, Ed.
And thank you, everyone, for
Yeah.
attending. We'll see you on the next GeoAI Bytes session. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.